Let me ask it this way. If we are the sum of our choices,
Mhm.
how do we need to implement things now?
You have your wife that rely on you. You have kids that rely on you. You have your employees that rely on you,
Yep.
right? So I think it's just a matter of having that intentionality that, okay, if I do A, I should expect B.
Always have to have a reserve in your head and plan X months amount, because you know that like you can only rely financially on yourself. So I think it's the same level of base level of stress that you're always carrying around in your mind that you kind of translate to when you're a business owner.
Hey, everyone out there. How are you doing? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Grind.
Yeah.
Here, we're going to be having conversations that will inspire and empower people.
To build wealth.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. All right. So today, you know what? Since we're having conversations to inspire and empower people, let's. There was this thought that one of our producers gave us, and it's like, what do you think about, your actions have consequences, whether good or bad. How do we explain that? How do we maybe make it work for ourselves?
um, I don't know, man. Like that's like such a day-to-day thing that you don't really understand when you're a child, but when you become a real adult, that's when bills, speeding, you get a ticket, little things like that. Every day you start being like, all right, do I really need to go this fast? Like, I'll get there when I get there. Being late to work, you get up earlier. It's just one thing leads to another, and it gets worse and worse, or it gets better. So the consequences of hard work are going to be, and sometimes you're just sacrificing time with other people, right? But another consequence on a positive note is that you see the fruits of your labor. So it can go either way when you look at it from the lens of a entrepreneur or business owner. So the consequences of it taken away, you're having an opportunity cost, but the result hopefully is positive in the end, which is what you're hoping for.
I'm I'm kind of looking at it from a Netflix perspective. You ever watch that a show at night? He's like, okay, last episode.
Oh,
And then
man.
last episode. And then by the time you know it, it's 5 a.m. He's
My
like,
wife
just did
hates
that
watching
yesterday.
reality shows right when she's about to go to bed because she's
she
like,
can't stop.
I'm not going to stop because I've
Yeah.
got to get to the next episode and see what's going on.
and that has been something that I have battled with in the past.
Really?
To the point
I
that,
did that recently.
oh, trust me,
I just did that.
you
yesterday.
wait, you keep telling yourself last episode, and then the next episode, last episode, and then by the time you go to bed, it's like 4 or 5 in the morning. You got to get up at 7,
Yep.
and you're going to work. You just dragging. You can't really focus, right? And you don't really get the best of yourself, or at least the people around you don't really get the best of you
Yeah, your
because
energy's
you've
low.
wasted your best time watching Netflix.
I don't even watch TV, but like the
When
other
you
day,
do, you do.
well, but I do with a purpose. I'm like, well, I'm who am I kidding? I'm not gonna watch 2 episodes. I'm gonna watch the whole thing.
Exactly.
So like,
You
I
binge watch it.
mentally think like, what do I have to do tomorrow?
Well, let me bring you guys back a little bit, because we want to make sure these folks out here are feeling what we're saying. Let me ask it this way. If we are the sum of our choices,
Mhm.
how do we need to implement things now? Because it's a popular saying out there, right? We're the sum of our choices. So, hey, if you choose XYZ tomorrow, yesterday, it's gonna affect what you do today. It's gonna affect what you do
agree.
tomorrow and your
But
choices.
it's a good question because I think to live in that mode constantly, you have to have an intentional mindset with everything that you do.
Yeah.
I think that I read something about how the human brain makes, is it thousands or millions of decisions in a day?
Probably millions.
Yeah,
Probably.
and you don't even realize that you're making it, right?
Yeah.
Every day when you go to work, every day when you decide to study for an exam to get a certification, you're doing that because you want tomorrow to be better.
Yeah.
When you went to work today, you're going to work with the mindset that you have people that rely on you.
Mm.
You have your wife that rely on you. You have kids that rely on you. You have your employees that rely on you,
Yep.
right? So I think it's just a matter of having that intentionality that, okay, if I do A, I should expect B. But if I want B, I must do A, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You want to pass, you got to study, right? But if you don't study, you don't pass.
I think that makes a lot of sense. In the sense, back to my Netflix thing.
Bro, somebody
All right,
was watching Netflix last night.
it
He
was like
watching he ain't got no
it
energy
was.
right
It
now.
wasn't last night. It was actually the night before because I had to catch back up on sleep. So I made a conscious decision to like. I literally never watch like TV like
What were
that.
you watching?
I was watching Night Action, bro, or Night Agent.
90.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
need to. I need to
Yeah,
get.
yeah.
I need know. Yeah, I need to get.
And I
back.
was like, I was out. I need to watch this. And then and then other than sports, every now and then, not really. I don't even watch that as much as I used to. But
Yeah.
I generally try to reserve some me time because pretty much throughout the day, everybody gets all of you. So at some point, you need to give back to yourself. And I'm not talking about back to yourself in the sense that like you're getting back to focus and work. Nah, just have no thought and relax.
Yeah.
Like, so I just did that the other day and I was like, but it worked out because I knew my schedule the next day. So I was like, all right, I got 2 extra hours in the morning. So that means I'm not gonna be as tired and the rest of the schedule's kind of light. So, but that was just a decision, like a business decision. Um, but in general, I would say that like, yeah, like you said, we are sums of our actions and decisions, and like you said, you are making lots of decisions. And one thing I was telling my friend the other day is that it's different when you're an owner of a business
Mm.
versus when you're an associate or
course.
not an owner.
100%.
Does
And I
it? Is it?
realized,
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. I'll come back.
no, no,
Don't
no,
worry.
no,
I
it
won't stop
is.
your thought.
It's
Keep going.
different.
Keep going.
It's different. It's not even from a point of like, it's just when you're an owner of the business, somehow there's a level of stress and intention always on you because I go to other people's offices and I assist them and do other procedures. There's not stress on me.
Of course.
Even though I might be doing the same thing
Yeah.
I would be doing in my
I
own
see.
office, it still is like without the same amount of tension and stress and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, you want them to succeed and you're doing great, but something's to be said about it not being yours.
Mhm.
So you don't carry that. No matter, even if something's going great, there's a base level of like tension within your body by being the owner and being the person that everything, ultimately falls on. If you're the leader of the organization,
Yes.
it doesn't even matter if you're in a,
It's like-
you're doing great. You're just the leader.
Yes.
So
It's
you
just
have
like
to take
responsibility.
Exactly.
That's
It's
that
like-
tension there. It's just
it's also another thing is like generally in anything, if you're the breadwinner and you're the decision maker,
Yes.
no one has your back.
But God.
and you
But
got
God,
but God, no
If
one,
I got
no
you,
human
but-
has your back, right? So ultimately, if something crumbles, then you're like you have to always plan ahead and have contingencies and whatever because your spouse or your kids, they in general they're like, well, if this doesn't work, hey, I need this. You're that person. But when it comes to you, there's not really if you're the breadwinner in that kind of situation, you always have to have a reserve in your head and plan X amount because you know that like you can only rely financially on yourself. So I think it's the same level of base level of stress that you're always carrying around in your mind that you kind of translate to when you're a business owner. Ultimately, your employees get paid. They may care about your business,
Mm.
but you're the one who ultimately name and all the responsibility. If something happens, you
It's
get
gonna be
sued,
your-
or you might not get sued, but the business gets sued. And you have to deal with that, or if there's loans to be, everything is on you. So there's a base level of anxiety that even when you're like great, it's still measurably like I didn't think about that till like 2 days ago when I went to someone else. I was like, I'm doing a lot here, but I'm not even stressed because it's not mine. Like, what's the difference? Because it's not yours.
Watch this. Think about this.
So,
When you are working for somebody, no matter what type of stress you experience, at the end of the day, you're still going to get your paycheck.
Of course.
That's my whole point.
But
Of course.
when it's your business,
At the end of the day,
at the end
it
of the
might not be
day,
It
there.
might not be. You gotta eat it.
exactly.
You clock in, you
You're-
clock out.
you're
you
worried
might
about
not get
growth?
paid. Right.
You're worried about
I see.
retaining employees. You're worried. I mean, there's so many things to worry about.
That's
So-
the decision making part.
Exactly from that angle. But I'm curious to hear your perspective from a decision versus consequences.
No, I like what you guys are saying, you know. It almost makes me think about people who feel like they don't have control of some of the decisions or some of the things that are happening to them.
Mhm.
All right. But before we get there, going back into actions and consequences, I think we may not always view all of the consequences from our actions or decisions,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Let's say like in being a business owner, me as a CPA, I get so many clients that are like, Toasted, I'm ready to jump out, man. I don't want to do this 9 to 5 no more. I'm like, if you only knew.
Right?
You know, you don't really know what
Till you
that
know.
decision
Yeah.
is really gonna take
I
from
know.
you.
Yes.
Because you guys are saying
I
there's
say
that
it all the time.
underlying frequency of stress.
You don't know. You don't know till you know.
No,
It's-
so there are all of these things that we want to do,
Right.
but you're not really thinking about those consequences. But
And
if you talk to enough people, hopefully they might open your eyes and say, hey, have you thought about this consequence that comes from this action that you're
Right.
about to take or this decision you're about to make? Right. So we really need to make sure that whatever we're about to jump into, whatever we're about to do, whether it's in life,
Right.
business, with your family or whatever, there may be some unintended consequences,
Yes.
and you
a
just
lot.
need to be ready or a
The
lot
time.
of yeah.
I think people underestimate the time commitment.
Yeah.
I think people think I'll do this for
This
this
is
amount
for
of
business, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I think they say I'll do this for this many years and they have a timeline. And me, I actually have like a actual like by this time I need to be here. Yes, you need to give yourself grace and whatnot, but it's good to have that because I'm like, okay, I told myself I was only gonna do this for this amount of time. Now it's past that time and like I'm still super busy, not having time. Like I have to like force
Yes.
myself to stick on schedule to be like, okay, now I need to add this so that I can do less of this.
Yeah.
Like you have to
Be-
force yourself because if not, 10 years, 20 years will go by. You're like still working, slaving like a dog, not really
I
like
came into business to have my
Right.
own time, to be my
Right,
own boss.
exactly. And
You know,
you end
but
up being like, instead of having the business work for you, you end up working for the business, which is very easy to do. And no one really out someone who says, "Oh, yeah, I have a colleague. Me and my friend have a shared colleague who's always like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. Well, you just need to do that." I was like, "That's nice. If you could do it, you would have done it." Like, it's always nice to be like, "Oh, all you need is this." So why have you not done it? Oh, it's easy. And I'm like, I don't put anything I was like, it looks easy. That's what you can say. I think it may be easy, but don't try to sit here and profess that it's easy. You go ahead and do it and show it's as easy before you start minimizing what other people are doing and the difficulty it is for them to operate in their industry. So it's just like I have a couple of people who I know who just swear that, oh, I could just do marketing, this, that, and that. And I was like, well, why haven't you?
yeah.
Like, hire me to do marketing. Do you have a portfolio? No, you don't.
So how do you advise people that feel like, hey, I there are all these actions, consequences, decisions around me that I have no control over, but I have to ride with it. You know,
I think, what stuck with me is the saying, I'm trying to phrase it right.
You can
but
only control what you can control. Is that what you was about to say?
No, like if you fail to prepare, then you're preparing to fail, right?
Mhm.
So I was just talking this morning. I have a friend who's always calling me, asking me stuff, and he always thinks that he wants to open up all these things, and I'm like, so why you call me if you got the answer? And he's like, cause I need you. You always analyze everything. And I told him like, look, man, there are a lot of things I don't think about, and there are a lot of things you don't think about. So you always gotta like kind of bounce it off other people and figure out what you need to do
Mhm.
and make a real actionable plan. And I think at certain point, you get to a point where people are waiting for opportunities to get ready for things.
Mm.
And I'm like, I don't know about you. If I want to do something, I try to think of everything that could go wrong and figure out a solution for it ahead of time. But again, Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan to get
Get
punched
punched
in
in
the
the
mouth.
face.
And so, but you don't want to wait for an opportunity to do something and then you got to go get ready for it.
Yeah.
You just got to stay ready so you don't have to ever get ready.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing. There are things that are going to be in your control, but if you've already thought like, oh, if this happened and I have this kind of like determination to reach the end goal, then you're the type of person who's like, well, I anticipate it's gonna be ups and downs and stuff that I didn't know how to do. Now I have to figure it out. Not how can I do this?
Mm-hmm.
Who can help me figure this out? Because
Yeah.
somebody probably already had the same problem.
Yeah.
So that's my main thing on that.
I think from my end, the advice that I would normally give people is to focus on what you can control, because it tends to reduce the level of stress
Yeah.
that you're experiencing. Once you're able to focus on what you can control, then start to think about the stuff that you cannot control.
Yep.
And figure out, how can I at least mitigate
Yes.
Yes.
the things that I cannot control, to at least be able to absorb those
Right.
things, right? There are so many different things that we have in our lives that we can't control.
Mm.
Yep.
Some people are married to people that they don't want to be married to. Some people are in jobs that they don't want to be in. You know, no, I'm serious.
No,
Some-
you're right.
Some people are in jobs that
But you
Not
can
marriage.
control that.
No,
Marriage
no, no,
one.
no,
Did
you gotta-
they ask you to marry?
check
Did they
this
like?
out. So,
I
don't
some-
wanna-
I know
because
what you mean.
think about how many women didn't go to school because their husband said you don't have to go to school, and now 20, 30 years later, they're stuck in the marriage because if they leave,
Yeah.
they have no financial.
they have no, you get what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
the area that I'm talking
Okay,
about, right?
Okay.
Some people are in jobs that they hate,
Hate.
Yes.
Yeah.
but
They,
You've been
they don't know how to
applying-
get out.
No,
They
no.
don't-
Even if you've been applying the jobs,
That's
it's
what
not
I'm
like
saying.
it's
They
just
don't know how to
exactly.
get out
There's really
except for
nothing you
that.
can do,
Yeah.
right?
They're like,
So when I say
And they got
focus
bills.
on what you can
Yes.
control, think about those things that's causing you a lot of stress, or those things that is making you feel some type of way, right? And focus on those things, and the ones that you cannot control, figure out how you can mitigate that, right? And then this is where your faith comes into play as well too.
Mhm.
If you are a person of faith, there are certain things that you're going to experience in your life that you definitely want to put into your prayer and put into God. There's a reason why they say he's a God of miracle, because there are certain things that are going to happen that you just can't explain. You just know it's God.
Plenty.
You get what I'm saying? I
Plenty.
have experienced so many things that
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this thing is stressing me out, and I
Yeah.
really can't do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
And I remember you said it earlier before we started recording. You said, I don't know if it was you or if it was you, but you said you have nobody to run to, and you said, but God.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I think if I was in a position to advise somebody, those are the things that I would say, like, focus on what you can control, and the things that you can't control, devise a plan to mitigate that, and just leave the rest to God, man, because that's really all you can do.
I definitely want to echo on the fact that sometimes the best action, when you're stressed, is just to go leave it alone.
Go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
Yes.
Like sometimes I'm like so stressed and I gotta do this. I gotta do that. I said, man, I got so much anxiety. Like,
But what if I tell you it's
And
still
I
gonna be
just-
there though?
And then I know that's why.
No, but
that's what I.
sometimes you need time to process.
Sometimes
Rather than
I just
react,
say, look, man.
right?
Okay, there's sometimes you have like 30 things that you need to put out once, and you can't put out anything for a whole day because you're in a state of stress. Sometimes you just need to be like, they gonna be there, and you just go to sleep and leave it, and come back tomorrow. All right, tomorrow, what's the most pressing, and what can I do? But if you don't get that time to just, like he said, decompress, go run, do some push-ups, do something not related to the issue,
Mhm.
because you just thinking about it, sometimes it's just too much for you to even have a clear thought.
Mhm.
And that's also another time when it's good to have your, a support group where they're like, man, it's gonna be okay, man. Just take it one day at a time. Seriously, that's sometimes what you need. I mean, even me, you call me a mama's boy, but I still hit my mom and be like, Mom, look, man, look what I just need a moment. I just need you to be like, it's gonna be good. And I can't sometimes even tell her the details because she'll start being like, oh my God, what happened? Da, da, da. I'm like, look, man, you're here to calm me down, not me calm you down. But, sometimes she'll just be like, it's okay or whatever. I'm like, I just need one person to say it's okay or whatever. And then, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna be good though. Like, sometimes you just need that encouragement.
You know,
Um,
I like that you pulled the people around you, or maybe let me
homies.
rephrase it, or like your network.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
You know,
need
they
that.
say your network is your net worth, so to
Yeah.
speak, right? So if they're such an important part of who we are, what we do, what we can accomplish, and so on and so forth, um and it's also something I think we can control,
Yes.
right? It's part of the decisions we can make and control those decisions. Like, how do we go about building this network? Like, what are you looking for when you're
Mhm.
looking for those people that need to be around you, or you want to be around?
It becomes, I think, as you get older and you experience things, people come. I was today, I have a friend who is really feeling it. He's feeling like he's losing hope in humanity.
Oh
And
man.
his quote was this: I can understand society has made a lot of these women around just to like want me for what I have or whatever. I didn't expect that from men just to like not be there in my back. Like, like I'm really reevaluating my friend. And I was like, but the thing is, you have to ask yourself, were they really your friend, or did
Mm,
you just always y'all were friends because you guys were younger in your 20s and went to the bar or whatever,
yeah.
or were they like, let's grow together type of
Yeah.
friends? And that's what he said. You know what? You're right. I'm like, what's happening is like you're growing to a space where you're like almost outgrowing them. And
Mm,
then you're trying to hold them to your standards, which
mm,
you've never held them to.
Mm.
So they're not failing you. They just have been the way that they are. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that you never knew that this was the type of relationship that you had.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
I was like, you need to stop holding everyone accountable who isn't necessarily the right person to be held accountable.
Mm,
So I was like, it doesn't mean you should cut people off. You just need to understand that you have these friends and these friends. If I want to go turn up, I'm going to holler at my turn up friends. If I'm going business ideas, I got my business idea friends. Sometimes they could come close together, but not always, right? So, and I kind of have to outline that for him because I think his biggest thing was that he's just now realizing like what type of people he needs and encouragement. And he's like,
mm,
I'm around people who I'm finally trying to do stuff and they're dragging their feet. I'm like, but chill. There's different seasons for everything.
Yeah.
yeah.
You were them like 2 years ago when
Yeah.
I felt like I was like, yo, let's do this. You're like, oh yeah, we'll get this. Now you're like got that fire in you, and
Hmm.
you're wondering why nobody's running at the speed. Like you've been jogging with them forever. Like they're like, wait, why are you sprinting? Like,
Yeah.
and so like now he's trying to move into a different circle, and he's like, now I think just he took a trip outside the country. That's what really sparked this. He was like, oh, like
Mm,
this is the possibilities. He went outside and saw more people who look like him being successful, and he
mm,
was like, oh, this person started this with this. And so basically in summary what I'm saying is that I would definitely look for people who do and say do what they say instead of just saying things. That's
Yeah.
one thing. You got to see around people. If they don't have people around them who they can talk to and can be honest with them, then I don't really, it's hard for me to deal with people when they don't have accountability partners, if that makes sense. Like,
mhm.
you don't have to, it's not necessarily that you should have someone who, like, hey, we're going to do this together. No, you should have, it's not hard to find people to keep you accountable. It's
Mhm.
just you have to give them the space and allow them to keep you accountable.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that. They keep a lot of yes men. And, people are always like in your corner when things are going good. They never tell you stuff that are bad because you may react negatively to it, or that they don't want to be there for the tough times. They're like, I got my own problems.
That's a good one. I think for me, when it comes to the art of networking, I'll look at it from another angle, right? So I typically focus on just having that genuine relationship with folks, right?
Hmm.
Like if you focus on having meaningful conversation, I think it goes a long way because
Yeah.
networking is such a popular thing nowadays
Yeah.
that if you don't come across as genuine,
Mm,
Yeah.
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 it,
hundred
it,
percent.
it could look like, hey, you're just ticking off
Hundred
a
percent.
checklist, right?
Because
So
they're spraying your business cards.
exactly,
Yeah.
so like being genuine and really trying to have meaningful conversation.
Yes.
And this is something that's actually
Facts.
a superpower for me, right? The ability to, like, my ability to have, I guess, my social capital,
Hmm.
is
That's a
kind
good
of
one.
like it's one of the things that I excel at because when I speak to people, I see them,
Hmm.
past what they do, right? And so it's not about what they can do for me. I'm always thinking like, hey, how can I add value to your
That's
life?
You
right.
want everybody to win. That's
Exactly,
what it
right?
That's
is.
right.
So usually that when the conversation is going, I'm paying attention to what you're saying because
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out what is it in your life that you're currently experiencing that is a problem that I have the ability to help you resolve.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you start to form some sort of bond because it's not transactional. Because
Correct.
we're getting to know each other. We're probably talking about family. We're probably talking about, things that we like to do. And then maybe in that conversation, you drop a problem that you're experiencing. And it could be something as simple as, you know what? I know I'm gonna tell you CPA. Let me connect
Yep.
you with him, and he might be able to set you up. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he'll start looking at me. He or she might start looking at me as, man, like I didn't have to do anything, and this
Right.
guy is offering a solution. So those are the type of thing that I think about when it comes to like just showing up, engaging in meaningful conversation, and trying to resolve something. Because what you'll end up finding out is that you don't need to ask for people
Yeah.
when you're going through something
Correct.
for them to want to help you
Yeah.
because they already know the type of character,
Yeah.
your type of personality, and what you bring to the table. And I feel like that's truly the art of networking when you can show that you truly care.
Yeah. I
Well,
agree.
let me ask it this way because when I was thinking about this art of networking, I was like, what if you're a college student,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
drop into college,
Mm-hmm.
or you've maybe you graduated,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, high school, college, whatever, whatever, and you move to a new city,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
or you want to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I need a network
Mm-hmm.
in all of those different
Mm.
scenarios. We are not islands on our own. So like
You're saying if you're new city,
if
just
it's
new,
new
no friends,
anything,
nothing,
yeah,
just
nothing. Like
no job.
you just well, I don't know. Well,
I
it could be.
mean,
It could be, right? But you just move to a brand new city. It
I
could be
did
for a
that.
job. It could be for whatever, right? Or for opportunities,
I did that.
right?
It's I mean
You're
that's
moving
That's
from rural to inner city, inner
it's
city to
hard, but
rural,
I
whatever it
think
is.
the age at which you are when you do that impacts your ability to be social and it not feeling tedious. Because the older you get, if you don't have your circle and you're starting from zero, you're almost like
Or your
I'm already.
circle is in another
Yeah,
city.
you're
That
almost
it's not like you're starting from
well,
scratch,
yeah, well, you know
you
what I
know.
mean. But in a new city, you're starting from zero.
Yeah,
It's hard sometimes to get out because you're like when you're younger, you want to get out. You get
yeah.
when you're older, you're like, oh, I gotta leave the house. Like, I did that. But I'm also a person who's like, yo, I want to do this. I'm like, I start looking for who's doing what I want to do, and I literally like I came in a three-piece suit, went to every office outside. There was a note, and it was like, "Hey, I'm such and such. I would like to talk to you." They were not hiring. They were not nothing. Every single person offered me a job, and then we went out to eat almost every. But because
Hmm.
I also I don't. It's hard for me to like want something and wait for it to sit and wait for it. I'm like I'm losing a day
Just sitting waiting.
of my life, like I'm not gonna have unlimited, hours and days. Like I gotta go make this now. So the sense of urgency has always been that way for me. So I literally go out. I'm like, look, I'll meet someone. I'm like, hey, even if I'm in a restaurant, hey, oh, okay, what's your name? Like he said, I get to know them. I'm like, well,
Man.
where's a good place to do that? I'm also extreme extrovert. So
Oh, but
I'll
you're
go,
talking extroverted over there. I don't understand that language.
I'll go, you know how I am. I'll go to anyone
But
and
here's the
try to
thing:
get
whenever you're in a new location, you always have to leverage introductions.
right.
You know, you know how I met Tosin?
Yeah.
Through introduction. Somebody connected me with him. When I moved to Dallas, I didn't know anybody,
Mhm.
right? And when I met him, I was approachable, right? And I was quite confident in how, you know, I spoke to him, right? And that made him feel comfortable enough to be himself around me.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you are or
Yeah.
where you are or where you go. The key thing is if you're not approachable
Mm.
and if you don't sound confident,
Personable.
or yeah, personable, if you don't sound confident and if you're not leveraging introductions,
Yeah.
you're not going to build any network.
You
Mm.
definitely have to step outside every opportunity. I always feel like I don't mind meeting people. Like I'm like literally I don't think the way that my mind operates, I can be one of those people who does not
Meet new people.
meet people, which is odd because they talk about size of the brain and skills and whatnot. Like my strengths are like math and science, like really off the charts, right?
Really?
So technically where I thrive is like engineering and stuff like that. I actually was gonna do all that. And I wanted to be a rocket scientist, all that. Then I was like, I can't sit by myself with this. Like it's not
Inside
me.
some
But
cubicle.
at the same time, I did a lot of art and artistic stuff, played instruments, whatever. So I couldn't like it's almost like an oxymoron how I operate. So when I look at anything, I'm always analyzing and well, what's the numbers on this? What's this? What's that? But at the same time, I have to go meet people. So
Okay. For all you introverts out there, zoom in closer. I don't know what they were
You wouldn't
talking
believe it,
about.
but he's an introvert.
Wait, he's not an introvert though.
I am an extreme introvert.
He's an
right.
introvert. He would prefer not leaving his house. I know it's hard to believe, right?
Well, I guess that's why you're a CPA, right? Because you know the funny thing is, I actually went to school for accounting, and literally I was on my way to get my CPA. I've already passed.
No one talked to
two
you in the
exams.
classes.
And guess what? I was doing internship, and I'm sitting in front of a computer doing numbers all day. I'm like, yo, this is not
Yeah.
it. It's
fun,
it's
but-
a lonely place to be in where you're
No,
doing
no,
nothing.
You
but-
guys, I
numbers
don't know
all
what
day.
you guys are
Like,
talking
our
about.
brain, me and Karen
was
are
like,
saying
nah,
we
bro.
gotta like I get energy. Like you get drained from talking to people a lot. We get energy.
I'm like, yeah,
we're
let's go.
energized.
I
from
need
other
like
people.
a double espresso
Right?
in the
Like,
morning,
he
you know?
He has to unwind. Like, like if you're a true extrovert in your free time, you want to be around people.
But check this out.
In my
From your perspective, right? You phrase that question, new college, new city, New York, whatever, right?
come on over
How
here with me.
do you build your
Come on
network?
over here with me, introverts. All right. So when I first got into college, all right, I went to UTA here. All right, we going all the way back. All right.
Oh man.
And my older brother Olu, he moved down to Dallas. He also started going to UTA, and I
Big
would
bro.
go from my class back to the apartment, to the
You didn't
classroom,
meet no one.
back to the apartment, back to the
He was
classroom.
enjoying it.
That was my life. Now I had a roommate. It was my brother.
Did you have a girlfriend in college?
Not till later. Not till later.
Next topic. Next topic. However, as I would come back home, there are many days I was by myself most of the time because my brother, he's extremely extroverted. He ain't gonna sit in the apartment, Nah. So how did I meet friends?
Yeah.
It was
Through him?
actually through him.
So
So he
So
ended
you
up
leverage
dragging me-
let me ask
introductions. Leverage introductions.
But I was lucky. I didn't move by myself, thankfully, because I don't know what I would have
Okay,
done.
so what about people that don't have it,
Wait,
brother?
That's where I'm
let me
going.
ask something. What is the birth order? It's you and your two brothers, right?
Yeah, so it's Olu, me,
you-
and then to me.
It
and
makes
then my
sense.
youngest
It
sister.
makes sense now.
All right,
I wanna
so
know
I'm a
how-
middle
He
child,
was so
middle
extroverted. He made you an introvert.
For the viewers out there, I want to know how they will build their network if they don't have an Olu.
So if
in
they
their life.
didn't have an Olu in their lives like
Yes.
me, you know, the places that he did pull me did teach me,
Mhm.
right? If you're going to college, find a group,
Yeah.
find an association, find something that you can connect with,
Mhm.
right? Find a community somewhere.
Mhm.
If you are going to a new place and you are a believer, like you said, find a church.
Yeah.
So you're
Fi-
saying that as an introvert, if you didn't have Olu in your life,
I
you
w-
would still go find a group.
I would.
I
no,
think
no,
he
no.
would
So
eventually.
I wouldn't find a person. I would find a group.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in there, that's how you now start
Yeah.
connecting with people.
I did all those.
Right? I can't. I mean, I
You
will.
can't go to random people.
I can't go to like like I'm at a restaurant and start
Yeah,
chatting
what's
with
up,
them,
man?
maybe.
That's me.
Like,
We all besties.
so I even find it weird. I even find it weird to eat by myself at a restaurant.
Really?
Why? Why?
I'm calling myself. I would rather take the food and eat in my car than eat at the
You
restaurant.
know, I'm so
by
happy that he's
myself.
married because that means his pickup game is totally off.
Don't worry.
She's extrovert. She balances it.
Hey. We
It's a
talking about
balance.
next episode on that one.
Nah, I'll leave the restaurant.
No,
like,
but I'm
on
serious.
first name basis.
For most people will not know that I'm an introvert
I
unless
know.
you like kind of sit and see me,
Mm.
right? Because my job requires me
Yeah.
to, you guys talk about accountants just sitting behind a screen and
Nah,
all.
he has to talk to
Nah,
clients.
we have to have.
Because you're in sales too.
We Nigerian. Hey,
Yeah.
okay, that's the American way. We're in
Yeah.
sales.
Yeah.
We Nigerians, we say you have to have sweet mouth. You know, you have to be able to close the client and make them feel comfortable that you've got the solution
Yeah,
for them.
that's
So sometimes I just have to talk and talk and prove myself and then list all the degrees and all the
he's
certifications.
become more extroverted. I
My
think
goodness.
so.
So I'm technically not an extrovert,
Yeah,
but
you-
I can turn it on. You know, I steal from Beyonce and call it my Sasha Fierce,
What,
right?
You know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing that money motivates you to be an extrovert.
No.
No,
I mean,
I-
because,
I-
because
no,
if you
even-
don't, you gotta
no,
call
like in
yourself.
groups.
because he's not an extrovert.
Even in groups.
Because the reason why I say that is that in his free time, he doesn't get energy from he
Yeah.
doesn't get energy from just going out and socializing.
Bro, we were just talking about him hosting a life group.
Yeah,
don't,
but
don't
that's
you gotta be an extrovert to do
but
that?
that's like
Come
still
on,
within
bruh.
his
You don't
comfort
have to
group.
be an extrovert, but you can
No,
turn it on.
That's within his social group.
Okay, so
I
you-
can go to a festival or something. You can and just be friends with everyone.
yeah.
Ah,
And
bruh.
he'll just
Those
chill
are-
at the festival because
And
it's not work.
So no, but
You know what I mean?
Even,
Like-
even at that example, even going to those places where there's already a community,
Yeah.
I hate going to network events by myself.
And having to meet new
I
people.
hate it.
So you always pulling Andrew to come with you.
Where you at? Because it's
awkward,
that
yeah.
first one, I don't even drink, it's not
Yeah.
that drinking is bad or whatever. No, I just I never
Yeah.
got into it. We've been way
Bro,
back
I'm
in
gonna find
college.
something. Mo, that's
All
a
right.
nice jacket. Where'd you get
Right.
that jacket from?
See,
Next thing you know, we already
I
talking.
need
He
some
has
of those
to have
tips.
already been
you
friends
know?
with them and cool enough with them.
Yeah,
Or
but
he has to force himself.
if I go out there and I'm by myself,
You won't be able to sell me
Father,
nothing.
help me. It's but God.
It's only
You know,
God.
and that's how you'll know I'm an introvert.
That's
If you see me in a place that I don't know anyone,
Mm.
but if I know people, it's easy for me to turn it on and try and be the life of the party or whatever, and you'll never know.
So let me ask you this: when you first met me, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember, right? When you first
No,
met
I don't remember, but go ahead.
It was a memorable.
No, I'm the worst person with faces and names. I'm serious, Actually, should I tell you one story?
What's
All
that?
right.
Tell me.
I saw you in church,
Mhm.
all right? And I was
Lord's
like,
house.
Lord, I should remember his name.
Oh my
I
God!
was like, oh, Lord, I should remember his name.
Like every day.
I was
though.
like, oh, jeez. And
I'm
it
not
it
good
like
with names
haunted
either
me.
sometimes.
And I started looking at, I started pulling up LinkedIn to see if I can figure out faces.
But to be fair though, I'm terrible with names.
We're
I'm
all
good with faces, right?
Nah.
But the only way I would remember somebody's, well, obviously he does my text, so I gotta remember his name.
Yeah.
Number one, but number two, the only way for me to remember somebody's name is to save their number. Once I save your number in my phone,
Nah,
I'm
'Cause
not.
then you'll
I
see
need
next
I need a
time.
It took
picture
forever
and
for
a
me.
number.
It took
Nah.
forever for me to remember
You know.
Jake's name. It took forever for me to remember Olu's name. The first name I remember was Alan and Sabash. That's it. Everybody else, I was just saying, "What's up, bro? What's up, bro?" Until I saved the name.
No,
know,
but
man.
seriously, I think, if you guys have mentioned some things for extroverts, I've mentioned a few things for introverts. Like, what else is out there, as we're trying to build that network? Are there places you can go, like,
Meet up.
no, I'm serious.
No, I'm serious.
Because
Like,
some
I mean,
people,
so for me, I mean, obviously, you guys know that I host my quarterly events.
okay,
The Dallas Small Business and Startup Mixer, right? This is where I'm essentially bringing entrepreneurs to just come together and just get a chance to talk to each other, right?
Yeah.
And what I do is I create a good, chill, laid back environment for people to be able to talk with each other. We do a little icebreaker and stuff like that. But Eventbrite, is it meetup.com or
Yeah.
something like that?
Right.
Yep. And
Wait, wait.
churches.
before you jump out of that, how did you get the network to be able to have that event though?
Oh, so
That's
mouthpiece.
easy. So no, not even that. So
how's that
you
easy?
gotta
Like a
realize-
lot of people want to start different things. Hey, I want a group. I want to down.
well, so I
you
mean,
don't have anybody to call.
So for me, like when I used to run Zazu, once you raise millions of dollars, right? You get posted on all over the place, right?
Hmm.
So when obviously, unfortunately, when my business went down, I still had that notoriety as somebody who has done something, right? So people wanted to hear me speak and hear what I have to say, like, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? Right. And then I started my consulting agency, which allowed me to coach and help founders. But through that, I just had the idea that, hey, would you guys be interested in, a networking
Mhm.
events? And then that's just how the whole thing blew up. So at the end of the day, if you want to meet people, you just have to make sure to get yourself out there.
Yeah.
Eventbrite, your church, meetup.com, whatever.
Workplace.
Yes.
7-Eleven.
You know?
Yeah. 7-Eleven, bro.
The restaurant.
If you extroverted,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
yeah.
definitely,
7-Eleven, but-
I mean, for me, it would just be find a community
Yeah.
that's already established
Yeah.
and go there, show up.
I think
Somebody there is gonna be like you. If you're an introvert, somebody there is an introvert. Once you see them, just have some little icebreakers like, yo, you introverted? Yeah,
So-
me too.
Ah!
so. What I say is, anyone who says a word to you, you try to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
That's an easy exercise. When I was in my MBA program, they'll say, you guys, you need to get better networking. Easy way to do that is you have a mission to talk to 2 strangers per day.
Mm.
2. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, or 2 at night. But it has to be 2. That's your mission. At least reach out to them. And anyone who speaks to you as well, you ask them, how's your day going?
Yeah.
Like, and then, oh, okay, give them a compliment. There was like these 3 rules, but for the extroverts, it didn't matter. We're gonna do that anyway. Like we were like, hey, what? Oh man, that's a nice pair of shoes. Where'd you get that at? Or I like that belt. Like, oh, thank you. I got it from da 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 da. Hey, well,
So
where's that place?
You're telling us introverts, meet at least one extroverted person, all right? Don't have a whole bunch of introverts
I mean,
around you.
it's like my family is always like joking. They're like, I said this before. I covered the office. When I got there, they before I got there, they threw me a welcome party. They're like, "You're so awesome. Skills are great." I was like, "What?" I'm so touched. I've never. I was like, and then I told others, more than one person, the story, and they're like, "That's what you felt? You felt touched?" They were like, because they're introverts. Actually, more than one. Most other people were okay, but they were like, "I would die being on the spotlight. That's like my worst fear." Them throwing me apart and everybody
of me
looking at me.
just
And I
died.
just met them, and it's like 30 new people I've never seen in my life. Really celebrating me, surprised. I was like, I never thought about it that way. I was like, me? I'm so happy. And they were like, and then they asked you on the spot to give a speech. You gave a speech. What do you do when you think about it? I was like, I was like,
How'd
they're
you
like, do you
prepare
get
for that
nervous?
speech?
I'm
You know,
like,
yeah.
I think one time I was nervous for like a couple of seconds. And I'm like, but then this is gonna be over before I know it. So what? And in my, some people, my mom actually asked me, do you get nervous when you get these speeches? I was like, I think like middle school. I remember she was like, middle school, all those speeches. I was like, nah, man, it's just, I mean, like I'm just talking. Like I don't feel the same pressure. So I feel for people who feel the same like pressure. I think if I ever feel nervous, it's a couple of seconds, and then it. I'm just like, man, like I don't. I guess in my head, I'm like, no one's gonna remember this tomorrow.
Well, the good news is that whether you're an introvert
Yeah.
or an extrovert, at least now you guys have the tools
Yes.
that you need.
That's
to
right.
I
be
talked
able
to one person today, Tosin,
Yeah.
that you don't know.
Bruh.
One
Ain't
stranger a
happening.
day.
I know enough
1 in the
people.
morning.
Thank you.
Excellent.
All right. So go ahead, Alan. Wrap us up.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Grind. We appreciate you if you would like, follow, subscribe, all of the good stuff.
Yeah.
Comment below.
Yeah,
So that we can grow this thing
that's right.
and bring you more knowledge and more content. And hopefully we entertain you as well. That's a wrap.
Peace.
Bye.